Okay, so last class we discussed about two-dimensional array. Just let me open that. Have a look what we did.
चलो बैठी होएगा.
All right, so we saw how to declare one two-dimensional array, then how to accept the data into it, and how to display the data. So let me put two people on mute. Some sound is coming. So today we will see a couple of more programs on this. Then we will go to next chapter.
Hi Kumar, I have a question before we proceed.
Yeah.
Regarding the program which you gave as a homework, right? A homework. So I was not able to do the transpose one, so I was curious if you can like share real quick.
Just I will be J and J will be I while displaying.
That's the only one? Oh.
That's the only thing.
Okay.
Okay. So while displaying, just make it J, I. That will work for you.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. So this is what we did last class. Yeah, a couple of homework I've given. Some people have sent it. I have not checked it. I will check today and reply back to you guys. Those who have not sent, you can send me. So, question. Accept an n by n. What do you mean? You can ask user to enter n and n by n in the sense whatever. User entered 4 means it will be 4 by 4 matrix. User entered 3 means it will be 3 by 3 and so on. So accept an n by n. That is also possible. You can ask user how many rows and how many columns you want, and that also dynamically you can put into an array. So accept an n by n matrix or array from user. Display only even elements in it. So here in this question, new thing is n by n. That means if I will ask user to enter a number and that number by that number, that means if user enters 4, it will be 4 rows, 4 columns. If user enters 2, it will be 2 row, 2 column and so on. So how to do that? So let's create a program. Nothing much difference. Only thing is, you can see here we are hard coding 4 and 3, right? Last program. Instead of 4, 3 hard coded, I can ask user to enter that number and that variable I can put it here. Possible. If by chance you don't have to decide how many rows, how many columns, you want to ask user to enter that, absolutely possible. So this time in our program, it is not like R by C. If it is R by C, then perhaps 2 things you have to ask user, how many rows and how many columns. But I said n by n, that means it's a square matrix. Whenever number of rows equal to number of columns, that we say it as square matrix. So if you want to understand square matrix, let me open an Excel sheet. So suppose 4 rows you are taking. as well as 4 columns you are taking like this, then this is called a square matrix. Okay, this structure is called a square matrix. So that means perhaps our program is asking a square matrix from us. That's why I said n by n. So accept an n by n array or matrix from user. Display only even elements in it. Even elements means, suppose here you have entered 13, here you have entered 14, here you have entered 76, here you have entered 89. So that means 13 is not qualified, 14, 76. So whichever even elements inside this, only those things, suppose you have to add it. Okay. So here loop as well as condition. Loop will tell display the value, but that condition will say conditionally add and display the value. So let's have a look how I'm doing it. Then similar one more program I will give it to you for homework. So static void array underscore 2d underscore 2. In fact, just for building up the algorithm, put some efforts. Otherwise, in real time, you are not going to use arrays. This is just I'm teaching you for little algorithmic or logical development. Otherwise, the current generation has gone far away from array, variable to array, array to collection, collection to generic collection. So better to focus to store more than one value into a generic collection rather than going for array or simple collections. So, but this is good thing to build your logic. That's why you are doing these things. Loop logic, conditional logic, combination of both, you know. So that is the reason we are learning. Otherwise, going forward in real-time projects, we are not going to use array. Very rarely you may use array. So first part of the question is accept one n by n matrix. If you want to keep the question in the summary, just copy and paste it there. So for accepting, you need to declare at least one array. So it depends what kind of array. Even elements means it is understood that it is not decimal, it must be integer. Okay, so integer, square with comma, because two-dimensional array. Take the name of the array as ARR equal to new integer. If it is already given 4 by 4, you are doing like this, isn't it? If it is already given 4 by 4, you are taking like this. If it is already given 3 by 3, you are taking like this. But it's given as n by n, right? So if it is n by n, then that n value I have to accept from the user before. So for that, I need one more element called integer n. Then I will ask user console.writeLine, enter the value of n. Okay, because n by n matrix you have to do, so at least n value has to be entered by user. So n equal to convert dot to integer of console dot read line. Make sense? So I asked user to enter the n value. Whatever user entered, then that n I will put here instead of hard coded to 3 by 3. Okay, I didn't enter hard coded 3 by 3, rather I'm entering n by n. It is allowed in C#. Not allowed in C language, but allowed in C#. So now it is time to accept the data for integer I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Previously, we are doing less than 4 or less than 3, whatever the number. Now that number itself n, so less than n. So I less than n, I plus plus. Inside that, one more for integer j equal to 0, j less than, again same n, and j plus plus. Like this you can do. So this time this n is not 4 or 3 or 5. It may be anything, whatever user entered. Once this is done, then inside you have to just accept it, and you have one more part of the question called display only even numbers, sum of even numbers. Actually, I wanted to write that. So accept n by n array from user, display sum of only even elements. So first is accept part. Accept will be something like arr I comma j equal to convert dot to integer of console dot read line. And I want sum also, as you have seen the second part of the program. So if you need sum, then why not you take one more variable at the top, sum equal to 0. Why 0? Because 0 plus anything equal to no change. If it is find multiplication of all the numbers, then perhaps I could have taken product equal to 1, like this. Why? Because 1 into anything, no change. So I took sum equal to 0 because 0 plus anything equal to no change. So here I will go and say sum equal to sum plus array of ij. Whichever number just now you entered, that has gone and stored in array of ij, isn't it? So that number I'm just adding with sum. If I will do like this, what will happen? It will add all the numbers that you enter. But what our question is saying, if that number is an even number, add it. Otherwise, don't add it. So you can put a small condition here. If that array of ij modulus by 2 equal to 0. Okay. When you say modulus by means that percentage symbol is also called modulus here in C#. So modulus operator is used for getting the remainder. So imagine you entered 25. Now 25 modulus by 2, is it equal to 0? What do you understand? That means, is that one even number? Okay. Modulus means, if it is modulus by 2 equal to 0, that means understood the remainder is 0. So you are asking, is remainder 0? If it is so, then it is understood that that is not divisible. Remainder 0 means it is understood that that is divisible by 2. If it is not 0, then it will come to else part. So do you have any other action plan for else part? As per our question, there is no other action plan. Only if part we have action plan. So either you can give curly bracket here like this, or if you leave also curly bracket, that is fine, because only one line you are writing just below the condition. So whenever only one line below the condition, putting this curly bracket open and close for if condition is optional. So this time it is going and accepting the number from me, and it is checking whether that number is divisible by 2. If yes, then it is going on adding with sum. So finally, when this complete loop will be executed, my cursor will come somewhere here, line number 69. Perhaps my array values also will be available, as well as my sum is also available. So what I will do is, I will again put same for loop, because I want to display first the loop itself. After that, I want to display the sum. So console dot write line /n indicates a new line. I want to give a line gap. So /n entered values in n by n format. N by n format means you can say 0, x, 1 format. Okay. This will also be 0, that will also 0. So is n comma n. That means this sentence also will be dynamically changed. If you entered n as 2, it will be 2x2, like that, 2 by 2. Then just copy paste this loop to display the values. So this time I don't need all this. I need console dot write. This part already you know, last class. So console dot write, because I want in the same line, array of, no double quote, array of I comma j. That means display that value, then give a tab space. Okay. See, by seeing the question how part by part I'm tackling, similar way you also have to tackle. It's not the matter only array, any program in future as well. You have to divide that question into small part, and you have to think what will be at the top, what will be after that, what will be after that, and so on. So I declare all the variables and arrays at the top. Then I accepted it. For accepting, you can here say user, because user will not come to know that we are expecting some numbers from him. Okay. So you will say enter some position number 0, integer values. So here you can say n multiplied by n. Why so? Because if n is row and n is column, then n multiplied by n will be the total number of values. So I said enter some 0 position integer values. So if user is entering 3, then 3 into 3, 9. So it will ask you enter 9 values. So here also it will say 3 by 3 format is so and so. So just after the inner loop, we used something called line break, right? Console.write line, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. So this particular loop, nothing new. If you will see previous program, can I say this part? Exactly same, I'm copy pasting there. Only thing is here, 4 by 3 is hard coded. There it will be n by n based on user's entry. Okay. So let's complete this program. Then I will show you fully. If you have any question, you can ask me. So this is called displaying the array, first part. Then display the sum. If you want, I will change this question also a little like that. So accept n by n array from user. Display the matrix or display the array as well as sum up only even elements. So imagine this is the question. Okay. So that means now I made it 3 part. One is accept the array, one is display as it is, and one more is display the sum of even elements only. So what else pending now? Only one part is pending, that is last part, sum of only even elements. So that is already being calculated here. You can see while entering itself, we have already calculated that value, sum. So that sum we have to just display somewhere here. So console.writeLine. If you want to display it in a new line, give a /n. Sum of even elements in above array is position number 0, and in that position number 0 you want to display sum. All right, so now let's call this function in main. I comment the previous program and calling today's program. All right, so first let's run it without debugging. Let's see the output, whether as per our expectation output is coming or not. Once we saw it, then we will put a breakpoint and see where exactly what is happening. So run it. Enter the value of n. This time suppose I want 3 by 3 matrix. Then I entered 3. Then suddenly it says enter some 9 integer values. The moment I entered 3, it understood that 3 into 3 is 9. So total there will be 9 different values. Then I went on entering the values. I will give some easy numbers so that it will be easier for us to calculate also. First number I gave 10. Second number I gave 1. Third number I gave 7. Fourth number I gave suppose 2. Fifth number 8. Okay. Sixth number I gave 3. Seventh number I gave some 9. Eighth number again 10. Ninth number is 4 suppose. Okay. 9 value done. Then it says entered values. Actually I made it enter. It should be entered values. So entered values in 3 by 3 format is this. You can see first row become 10, 1 and 7. Second row become 2, 8 and 3. Third row become 9, 10 and 4. So now what do you think? Is it showing correctly or not? 10 plus 8 plus 2 plus 10, isn't it? Plus 4 also. So 10 plus 2, 12 plus 8, 20 plus 10, 30 and 4, 34. So it ignored 9, 1, 7 and 3. Correct? So as per our question, it is giving the answer correctly. Now how this answer we got? If you want to see line by line, you just put a breakpoint here. Where you should put a breakpoint? Somewhere here, line number 60. Because before that, nothing much complicated to check it out line by line. So just debug it. So first it will ask you enter the value of n. You entered, suppose. This time let's try with 2. 2 by 2 matrix. 2 by 2 matrix means 2 rows, 2 columns. So make sure that n value is 2 now. You take the mouse and check. It has taken 2 and stored it. And F10, see the output. It says enter some 4 integer values. Previously, when I was entering 3, it was saying enter some 9 integer value. Now it is saying 4 integer value because 2 by 2 is 4. 2 into 2 equal to 4. So now it is waiting for me to enter that particular value. So before that, I become 0. It checked I is less than 2 or not. It is true because n value is 2. So F10, similarly J value also less than 2, okay, which is true. So array of I comma j means array of 0 comma 0 because this time I is 0. J is also 0. Suppose I entered 23. It took it and stored in the 0th value as 23. Have a look. 0 comma 0 become 23. All other numbers are still 0, 0, 0, 0. So now it will check whether it is divisible or not divisible by 2. What do you think? 23. It is not divisible by 2. That means it will not let it go inside the if condition. Can you see? It directly came to curly bracket close. It didn't go to if condition because really it is not divisible by 2. F10, that means J++. Yes, this time also it is correct only. So it went inside. Then I entered suppose 12. I entered 12. So what do you think? 12 is modulus by 2 0 or not? Yes, 0 because it is divisible by 2. So it will let it go inside the if condition. So as of now, sum is how much? As of now, sum is 0. So it made 0 plus 12 because array of ij is 12 and sum is already 0. So new value of sum become 12. Then third value, it will enter, it will go to I and I will be 1. And for I is 1, again, j will be 0. And it will ask me third value. So I entered, suppose simply 1. I entered simply 1. So that 1 is not modulus by 2, so it will not go inside. Then again it will ask me enter one more value. Then I enter suppose 8. Alright. So 8 is really divisible by 2, so it will go inside the condition. Previously some value was already 12. Just now I entered new value as 8. So 12 plus 8, sum will be 20. And then it will go up again. And it will go for I++. I++ is now 2 because 0 and 1 has already been over. I new value become 2, you can see here. Okay, every time you have a doubt, you take the mouse there, it will show you what is the current value. So 2 is not less than 2. So overall this will be false. 2 is not less than 2. So overall this condition, middle condition which is highlighted with yellow will be false. So it will not allow to go inside the loop. So it will come outside the loop. So F10, it will come outside. Then it will say, you have entered the value, that's fine, but I want to arrange them in n by n format or 3 by 3 or 2 by 2, whatever. So this time it will show numbers in 2 by 2 format is this part already you know, so I don't need to debug line by line. Let's go ahead and complete this. This is not new for you. Now it says sum. Sum is 12 plus 8, 20. We have already calculated in the very first loop itself, and we are going to display that. All right, so keep the output somewhere right side. See the program. This is the part of the program. If you have any question, please ask me. 3 part is there in this program: accept, display, and find the sum. So any part of the program, if you have any question. So nobody has question. Okay, good. So this is how we are displaying the conditional sum. Not just sum, it's a conditional sum. If it is even, then only add it. Okay. So here you can see this condition you can put here also, you can put this condition here also. Any one of these two, not both the places. Okay, both the places not necessary. Any one place. So if you want to take this if condition and sum somewhere here, that also fine, no issue. Whether during acceptance itself you check the condition and add it, or you accepted everything and during displaying you check the condition and go on adding into sum, not an issue. One more question. These are all questions I am only generating because you are not asking. Suppose this line, instead of putting outside the loop, if I'll put inside the loop, what will happen? For every number, it will display this line, isn't it? Sum is this, sum is this, sum is this. So we don't want that. We want extremely at the last, only one simple line. So this line is not going to be repeated as per our question. That's why we put it outside the loop. All right. Yeah, Ankur, you have any question?
Yes, sir. Not specifically for this question. I wanted to know if the modulus operators are given negative numbers, how does it behave? How does it give the
Modulus number negative means it will come negative only. What is there? If your main number will be negative, modulus will also be negative. What is there? What is special in that?
Like if minus 13 mod minus 5, so it should come negative, right?
Imagine your minus 3. So minus 3 will, it will be divided by 2 means it will be 0. Not divided by 2 means it will be something. That something can be minus, that something can be plus, anything. So minus also if it is coming, that is also even only. Odd only if some remainder is there. So your definition of even and odd is not going to change, right?
Yeah, right.
So definition of even is anything divisible means 0. Only 0 as remainder, even number. Other than 0, whether it is minus or plus or anything, anyway it is odd only. So definition wise, we don't bother whether minus or plus is coming. So I don't think any problem should be there. Okay. All right. One question from my side to you as homework, then we will go to next level. So homework is today, you have one array, almost similar array like we did just now, n by n. That means my homework, this part is same, highlighted part, except sum. So understand, sum is also will be there, but condition will be a little different. I'm talking about that. So sum will also be there, but the condition will be a little different. So what is that? Have a look. So question is, accept an n by n array from user. This part is exactly same. Let me write that. Accept an n by n array from user. Find sum of only diagonal elements. Have a look. What is diagonal elements? Any square matrix, if row and column equal to same, you will get nicely 2 diagonals. Let me check. This is one 3 by 3 matrix. Can I say that? No, it is 4 by 4. So let me delete one row also. Can I say this is 3 by 3 matrix? Some value you entered like this. Some values are there, but it is 3 by 3 matrix. Can I say that? Because 3 rows and 3 columns. So this is said to be 3 by 3 array or 3 by 3 matrix, right? So have a look. This is the diagonal. Even this is the diagonal. So highlighted yellow are the diagonal elements. Similarly, if you want to try for 4 by 4, you try with 4 by 4. This is a 4 by 4 matrix. This is diagonal elements. So now you will understand the question. Question says, first of all, accept n. If user enters n as 3, then 9 values will be accepted. If user enters 4, 16 value will be accepted. If user enters 2, 4 values will be accepted. That part is done. So this is called 4 by 4 matrix. So whatever user entered, 2 or 3 or 4 or anything user entered. If that by that, then definitely you will get 2 diagonals like this. Okay. So question says, you please ignore these white color elements. Only diagonal elements you have to add into the sum. So you have to consider actually indexes, how it is varying, and you have to apply the logic. For example, suppose this is 0, 0. This is 0, 1. Little bit hint I am giving. The rest of the part you will try. This will be 0, 2. This will be 0, 3. Are you in same line? This will be the indexes. This will be 1, 0. This will be 1, 1. This will be 1, 2. This will be 1, 3, and so on. All right. So what logic you will develop so that 2, 3, no, this will be 2, 1, this will be 2, 2, and this will be 2, 3, 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2, and 3, 3. All right, so this will be the values. I mean indexes, not values, indexes. So you just observe how this yellow color background indexes are relationally different than these white color background indexes. Little bit clue I will give. Can you see? If you are taking I as row, J as column. If you are taking I as row, J as column, left diagonal, which I am highlighting with blue, especially if you will see those numbers, you will find one relation called I equal to J. Right? 0 equal to 0, 1 equal to 1, 2 equal to 2, 3 equal to 3. Like that, one relation you have to get in the right diagonal also, yellow color diagonal. So either that condition applies or this condition applies. Any one condition applies, please add that value to sum. Okay, so almost more than 50% hint I gave you. So rest you have to think and apply. So idea is only diagonal elements you should add and give the sum. Okay, this is homework for you. All right, so I think we are done with the basic things, guys. I will say as of now, whatever we were doing, those are all basic things. C# has 2 parts. One is basic things, one is object-oriented things. In fact, I will say 3 parts. Basic C#, object-oriented programming C#. One is implementation of object-oriented programming or advanced C#. So basic things, we take it as prerequisite because I saw maximum of group members have not done any program before. Okay, C# they are facing as the very first program. So we did all this basic stuff. Now it is time to go to the object-oriented programming concept. You will never use this array and all, whatever we learned, but these are all for logic development or, algorithmic development. So actual C# chapter starts from object-oriented programming. Okay. So now it's time to go for object-oriented programming concept. So what is this concept all about? Why we have to learn it? And I'm just muting you. Please be on mute. Some sound is coming from background. Okay. So what is this object-oriented programming concept all about? And how it is differing from our structured concept, what was going on so far. So from class 1 till today, whatever we were learning, that is called structured concept. Why we say it as structured concept? The entire program is structured into top to bottom, and whichever functionality you want to execute, you call it and execute. So that is called a sequential execution of the programming concept. Top to bottom, nothing else. Compiler came from top, slowly went down, and so on. Whichever function you call, there it jumped it. Again in that function, again top to bottom. So that concept is called structured concept. First generation of the programming language is said to be structured language. Okay, that means only some functions and call those functions. That's it. Even nowadays you are able to see classes and objects. That was also not there during very first generation. So if you say generations of the language, very first generation includes like machine language, assembly language, then basic, Fortran, COBOL, Pascal, PL1, up to C. Okay. After C, the second generation started, C++ onwards. Okay. So structured concept, C or before, and object-oriented programming concept, C++, advanced object-oriented programming concept, Java or advanced, Java or after that. For example, C#. So Java, C#, Python, okay, any new language after Java, they are all advanced object-oriented programming concepts. So let's have a look theoretically, but okay, little better to know. So this part already I told you why C or before languages were said to be structured concept. This is also called procedural oriented concept. Okay, C or before. So this is called Gen 1, generation 1. Generation 2 language. Generation 3 language. So currently we are in generation 3 language. So what is new in object-oriented programming? Then we'll go to advanced object. So our programming is actually advanced object-oriented. But let's understand what is the gap between Gen 1 and Gen 2. In C language, that means indirectly saying, explain C versus C#, C++. Okay, two part. One is contrast. C versus C++. Another is contrast C++ versus C#. Why we will talk about Java? we are into C sharp. So generation 1, what was not there, so generation 2 came, and generation 2, what was not there, so generation 3 came. Let's have a quick look. In generation 1, procedural oriented language or structural language, that means they are all depending upon only procedures. So procedure means function actually. So the individual functions will be called from top to bottom in main, and compiler will also execute that way. That was the only technique available that time. So that was said to be structured or procedural oriented, because entire execution of the program was orienting upon the procedures or functions. But after using those concepts for a decade or so, it's human nature. If I use 10 years some technique, now I have to think what's new in this, what can be new. So when initially this kind of technique came, that you can write a program, you can enter the data, you can calculate something, you can display that output, if necessary you can keep it for future use. So those kind of concept itself so hot in market at the generation 1 that people were happy. But after a decade or so, they said, what's new now? What was not available here is security. Okay. So disadvantages is security was not there. For data and functionality. Data means whatever input you are entering or output you are seeing, that is called data. Functionality means whatever calculation functionality, processing you are doing, that is called functionality. Security was not there means if you have 10 functionality, anybody is entering into the application. If you have developed one application using C language or COBOL language, there is no restriction that this guy can use this data and this function, that guy can use that data and that function. This kind of things was not restricted. That means any stakeholder using that application, there is no technique that if I have X, Y, and Z 3 data, X and Y should be available to salesman, and all X, Y, and Z should be available to manager. That kind of technique was not there. So in a single word, we will say security was not there. So they initiated security concept in object-oriented concept. So in a single word, if we want to express OOPS, object-oriented programming system, then that is security. Data security or functionality security. Now question arises, how did they get it? What was not there in C? Suddenly they got in C++? Let me take these things little down. Currently we are talking about C++. So they said they introduced something called class. Okay. In fact, this class concept also there in C#, because that security plus some more additional security they applied. That's how we say it as advanced object oriented. So C++, which is called second generation language, they introduced something called class. Class name. Just now I gave an example. There is X, Y, and Z, 3 data. But I want that X and Y should be used by salesman. But X, Y, and Z, all 3 should be used by manager. So they said, why not? We will go for something called, salesman. And what he is actually using, we will keep that inside this. First level, you think how the thought came into picture. They said, Why not we will put a boundary, and that boundary name will give as a class name, and inside that we will keep that x and y. I'm not writing integer, character, exact syntax. I'm just giving you the skeletal structure idea. It may be string, it may be integer, it may be decimal, no worry. Just think that x and y, there are two variables. Then they thought, manager wants x, y and z. So go for class manager. This is the first level thought they took into mind. Then they said, let's do x, y and z here. Okay. So this concept of grouping together to hide the functionality and the data from outside world, they named it as encapsulation, guys. They named it as encapsulation. Or in easy terminology, it is called data and function hiding. Encapsulation means data and function hiding. That means in 5 minutes, we are going to discuss entire C++, entire C#. Then one by one concept is one chapter. We will go in detail part. So just have an overview of entire C# or C++ chapter today in a 5 minutes. So encapsulation, they named it as. This is feature number 1. Okay, they named it as encapsulation. Then obviously it is human nature. If something you discovered, human being will find a loophole in this. Then they found a loophole that xy present here also, xy present there also. Imagine tomorrow x value was 100 and yesterday x value was 100 and today I want to make that x value 200. Then here also I am coming and making it 200. Here also I am coming and making it 200. That means double work. Not only that, double memory also occupied. Can it be better? They asked a question mark. Can it be better? Then they said, okay, the skeletal structure idea is, since salesman is already using x and y, same x and y will be manager also using. Don't define it here. You inherit that salesman here. That means if you want exact same data and exact same value for manager also, then make that salesman as father and make this manager a child. So this is called parent-child relationship, or in other words, it is called inheritance. So then they got the feature number 2. Slowly, not in a single day. So they said inheritance. Only when some data has to be commonly used by salesman as well as manager. For example, but in general, we will say class 1 as well as class 2, as well as class 3 maybe also. So if any common data and function to be reused, by 2 or more classes, then you have to go for inheritance. Then they got some trouble in inheritance. They said, as of now, inheritance was not there. That's why here one functionality was there called, something like, display name, suppose. Function means all this curly bracket, open bracket, close bracket will come, right? So let me write that way. So when we are saying display name here, you are understanding salesman's name. When you are seeing display name here, you are saying it is manager's name. Actually, they are not two different things. One thing, but here it is understood as salesman's name. Here it understood as manager's name. So, chances there, here it is written, salesman's name is so and so, console.writeLine. I'm not writing fully, just writing the skeletal structure. Salesman name is so and so, whatever. Suppose Y is your name, then we are saying Y. Here what you are saying? You are saying manager's name is Z. I assume Z is the name. So here you are saying manager's name is Z. Absolutely fine. Now just like X and Y I wanted to use here, that's why I inherited and I deleted from here X and Y. Can I delete this function here? If I will delete, don't you think for manager also it will show salesman's name? That means I want to keep it here. Because functionally, both are two different functionality. Name-wise, both are same name. Understand carefully. Name-wise, they are same name. Because this indicates salesman's name, this indicates manager's name. But functionality-wise, internal functionality-wise, this is displaying actual salesman's name and this is displaying manager's name. So I cannot simply delete this because my parent class is having that. I cannot say. That means indirectly saying, because I am displaying salesman's name, can I say I don't want to display manager's name? No, I want both. So unfortunately, I cannot delete it because this is having internal coding different. This is having internal coding different. Now it's a problem. I did inheritance because of data sharing, but from function point of view, I am facing issue. Then what is the solution? Naming conflict came, right? I want this also in salesman, I want this also in manager. Then naming conflict came. It said, hey, your parent is also giving one function called display name, and you are also having one function called display name. How it is possible? For manager, there will be two name, display name, because after inheritance, all these concepts, all these features, all this data and functionality will come and sit here logically. Then they solved this through something called polymorphism. So feature 3, polymorphism. So today we are not going in depth of any feature, but we are just having one overview how the generation of the programming language slowly improved. And today we are in advanced object-oriented programming language. So by implementation of these 3, so what is polymorphism in the quick answer? If due to naming conflict, what is naming conflict here? My parent is also having same functionality, my child is also having same functionality. That is called naming conflict. Or by mistake, somebody copy pasted it 2 times here. By mistake, somebody copy pasted it 2 times here. That is also a naming conflict. In the class itself, salesman itself, 2 names are there. Display name, that is also a naming conflict. Or if you have only one also, here it came a naming conflict because your parent class is having same name and your child class also having same name. So these are all called naming conflicts. So if due to naming conflict, any ambiguity, this problem part is called ambiguity, comes in program, that has to be resolved by polymorphism. In fact, today we are not going in-depth story, how to do part, okay? How to do part, we will go in that chapter only. But overall skeletal structure idea. What is this? Okay. So after these three features, they gave it commercially to the market. Till these three features, they had not given to market. They have not released it to market. They were only discovering new problem, new solution, new problem, new solution, like that. Then once these three features they implemented, they named it as object-oriented programming concept, and they released it to the market. Okay, named as C++. That was the second generation of the programming language called C++, or object-oriented programming in C++. Now you will ask me, so detailed they have thought, so nicely they have implemented the features. What's new you want? So that some generation 3 or advanced object-oriented programming concept came. Something called authorization, guys. No doubt you segregated group-wise responsibility, but there is something called authorization. Imagine you are admin, I am supervisor, that guy is salesman. Okay, we divided their responsibility into various parts, no problem. But there is something called authorization, authority. Time to time, authority may change also, right? Today I'm saying manager should use all the information of salesman. Tomorrow I will say, no. This is general manager. Okay. Another is called sales manager. So all that salesman is using, sales manager should use it. Sales manager should access it. But there is one more guy called maybe purchase manager. Both are managers. But one guy is called purchase manager, one guy is called sales manager. Another is called assistant manager, another is called regional manager, another is called general manager. So all are part of manager group only. But inside that group, we want authorization differently to different people. You are also manager, I am also manager. Think about that. But your authorization and my authorization may be different because of hierarchy. Hierarchy means labels. We cannot say general manager, whatever getting facility, assistant manager also will get same facility. We cannot say. But both of them manager only. So that kind of features slowly they introduced in Java first, then extended to other languages like C# and so on. All right. Today we have exceeded the time. So third generation, which is our programming language actually, we are going to discuss next class. So whatever today I am explaining, if not understood also, no worry. 10% going to mind also, be happy. Because each and every feature that I am explaining today, we have a separate chapter for that. Just 5 to 10% feature also going to mind, it's okay. Because we are not going to discuss today how part. We are only little discussing about what part. So when I will go for how part, that time we will get clarified. So we will continue what is generation gap between second and third, that is C++ versus C# in next class, guys. Okay. So our next class will be Saturday, 7:30. Because sometimes some newcomers are coming. So I'm informing you the timing every time. So next class is on Saturday, 7:30 a.m. IST. See you guys on Saturday.